No Pro Tour Gauntlet would be complete without a Bant Company list. And similarly, no Pro Tour Gauntlet these days anyways would be complete without a Luis Scott-Vargas piloted list. And so here we have Luis Scott-Vargas's Bant Company list that he took to the top 8 of Pro Tour Eldritch Moon. As you can see, a lot of new goodies from the new set, but overall the core of the deck is the same. Let's go down to the match now. Here we are, friends, for the last of this Gauntlet series with Luis Scott-Vargas's Bant Company. We won the die roll for once, and we are going to play first. This hand has got a Plains, a Forest, and some cards. I'm a little bit hesitant to keep this, but I have 2 cards that I can already cast, the Advocate and the Selfless Spirit, so I think I will go ahead and keep. If I can draw like a Prairie Stream or just an Island, this hand gets very, very gross very quickly. No Collected Company in hand. And in fact, these 2 cards can't be cast, but I think this is still a keep. We saw Luis Scott-Vargas keep kind of a similar hand in his last match of the top 8 of the Pro Tour, and it didn't work out too well for him, but we'll see if we can make this one work. Hissing Quagmire, maybe the opponent's on the black-green Delirium list, which means they'll have a lot of removal spells. Ah yes, Grimflayer. That's a pretty telling sign that this is, in fact, the black-green Delirium. Yeah, we get to attack in with our 2/3 here. And I think I'm just going to play out the Selfless Spirit, honestly. Makes it very hard for the opponent to do anything until they get rid of the Selfless Spirit. Dromoka's Command the draw for our turn there. No land, unfortunately, but we'll see if we can get there. Let's see. Grasp of Darkness gets around Selfless Spirit, but then they have things like Ultimate Price and Ruinous Path, etc., etc. I'll be happy to block here if the opponent tries to attack. But again, Grasp of Darkness is something that gets me. So yeah, we'll go ahead and sack the Selfless Spirit here to save our Sylvan Advocate from the Ruinous Path, which means their Grimflayer can't attack either. Hey, and there's a blue source for us, Yavimaya Coast, which is a nice one. I'm actually just going to go ahead and pass the turn here, holding open Spell Queller and Dromoka's Command. I think that's the safest thing to do. Spell Queller is just such a crazy card. Really fit into these Bant Company decks very, very nicely. And we'll see what the opponent has. Even if this is just to read the bones, I'll be happy to counter it, but it is in fact a Spell Queller. And this is a nice tempo hit here. Now obviously if the opponent kills the Spell Queller, they also get to Ruinous Path my Sylvan Advocate, but at this point I'm pretty happy with where I'm standing. Let's go to combat, and I think I might just use the Dromoka's Command here, as opposed to developing out my board a little bit more. Alright, put a 1/1 counter on target creature control points. Alright, so let's go with this, and there. I'm not pumping up the Spell Queller. It already dies to almost all of the removal the opponent can have. So, we'll just pump the Advocate, and again, like even a Languish here is fine. It's actually a 2/2. Murder? Okay, so this looks like Sam Pardee list. But now we don't get hit by the Grimflayer, which is nice. Really looking for another land. Oh, and that's a nice one to have there. Let's go Tireless Tracker into Evolving Wilds and just pop this off immediately. We do want to get another white source here since Abyssin is in the deck. And now we have 2 nice clues to sacrifice should the moment arise. These are the scary turns of the game where the opponent can really do some business to us. Liliana, not the worst here. Doesn't kill Tireless Tracker. In fact, I don't think it kills anything but the Selfless Spirit in this deck. Opponent might actually just -2. Get back Grimflayer or any other creature that they hit in the graveyard. Sylvan Advocate is the play. Okay, and they did make the Tireless Tracker a little bit smaller. I can actually attack in here because I can sacrifice a clue and use Dromoka's Command, which actually seems like a fine line. Let's investigate. Let's attack Liliana. And in fact, I don't even need to do anything. Like, the opponent's probably not going to block because I can threaten sacrificing 2 clues and just eating the Sylvan Advocate. So, in fact, I don't even think I'm going to sack any clues. I think I'm just going to play out Jace and our Sylvan Advocate. Now, this is risky, of course. I could run into a Languish here really, really hard. But I think I'm going to go ahead and take that risk. Especially if the opponent has a 6th land. If the opponent goes land number 6 into Languish, then they're left with their Sylvan Advocate and they've wiped my board. Okay. Liliana using her -2 here. Grasp of Darkness, ultimate price in the bin, so Grimflayer is the only creature that they can return back. And again, we're just trying to fade a Languish. Nice, Grimflayer replay is good for us. A good sign. And if they don't take care of Jace right now, then we get to transform immediately. Alright, we'll take a hit for 4 here happily. And just a pass of the turn. There's our 6th land, which is nice. I think we're going to go ahead and just loot here. We don't necessarily need this Lumbering Falls. Okay, good pickup. I guess we can discard Dromoka's Command if we really want to. I could also Dromoka's Command twice, in theory. The opponent's holding up Hissing Quagmire, 4 lands, 2 cards in hand. But if I just discard Lumbering Falls here, or rather, if I discard Dromoka's Command here, transform Jace, I can Reflector Mage back there, Sylvan Advocate. Play a land for the Tireless Tracker. And uptick on Grimflayer here. I could have also opted, and hear me out, I could have also opted to Jace target Dromoka's Command, so that if the opponent activates their Hissing Quagmire to block, which I assume they'll do, I could fight my Reflector Mage to it in response. But I think this is a fine line. I'm actually not sure which one the opponent's more scared of currently. Probably the Sylvan Advocate now that I've played the Lumbering Falls, but I mean, with 4 clues, I'm pretty much guaranteed to hit my land drops now. And yeah, as we can see, the opponent is going to go ahead and make that play. And that's fine. We took care of the Liliana. And we have a nice set of clues to back us up. The opponent can't replay their Sylvan Advocate next turn, and they are currently off of that 6th land once they do. Okay, there's land number 6, Sylvan Advocate, and, well, now we know they have a Traverse in hand. Let's see, Sorcery, Instant, Land, Planeswalker, okay, and they are going to get Ishkana, which is actually pretty terrifying. So they do have Delirium. They are going to get a nice amount of tokens to go along with her. End of turn, we'll sacrifice a clue. Find a Spell Queller, that's not too bad. Another land. So we can sacrifice a clue here. And still be able to cast Spell Queller and Dromoka's Command. I was talking about the Dromoka's Command in Graveyard, but we happen to have drawn one naturally, which is nice. Do we want to make that play, though? Because I could easily just fight something here if I really wanted to. But I'm also completely fine just upticking Jace. I'm in no rush. I think we can just pass turn. And in all honesty, I might not even Spell Queller the Sylvan Advocate. I think I'm going to save the Spell Queller for a removal spell. Because now I can end of turn fight my Sylvan Advocate with the opponent's Sylvan Advocate. And then hold up Spell Queller in case they have a removal spell to use in response of that. Still have 2 clues, which is also quite nice. Let's see if the opponent wants to make any attacks. They do not. All right, 2 cards left in their hand, 2 cards left in my hand, but again, I have 2 clues. And an active Jace, Telepath Unbound. So things presumably going okay here. Evolving Wilds. The play from the opponent. And we're going to go ahead and put a counter on this and then fight those two together. And we'll see if the opponent has like a Grasp of Darkness in response. They don't. So I'm actually going to go ahead and sacrifice a clue. If they had a removal spell, they would have used it in response. Things we're looking for. Avacyn. Avacyn, Collected Company, which we haven't found any of yet. I think we're going to go ahead and sacrifice this other clue here and see what we can find. Selfless Spirit, not terrible. In fact, quite a decent draw. So I think we want to... Well, we could fight again if we wanted to. I think fighting the Ishkanah right now is not an awful plan. Let's do that. Let's target our Dromoka's Command. And again, we are under the assumption the opponent doesn't have removal, so I'm going to put a 1/1 counter on the Reflector Mage this time, and then have the Advocate fight the Ishkanah. Alright, perfect. And I'm just going to pass here with the Spell Queller open. Can't attack now that I've fought before combat with the Sylvan Advocate, otherwise they can just block. Opponent not using their Evolving Wilds end of turn. Still looking for a command or an Avacyn. I do want to develop out one of these flyers is the thing, because right now we don't have a real clock. The opponent has some pretty decent blocks as it stands, but when I use Jace Telepath Unbound on the Grimflayer next turn, they won't be able to block profitably on the Sylvan Advocate. In fact, the Lumbering Falls is a 5/5 as well. Tireless Tracker. I think that's actually worth countering, just so that the opponent doesn't get all those clues and can dig deeper. We know they don't have a removal spell in their hand, so I think this is a fine line. Because even if they had Grasp of Darkness, they would have used it on my Sylvan Advocate when I tried to fight their Sylvan Advocate. So now we have a flyer on the battlefield, which is great. Alright, Prairie Stream the draw for us. Let's just cast this pre-combat, see if the opponent has a response. Of course they don't, though. And I can actually activate the Lumbering Falls and use Dromoka's Command here. Let's do that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure I don't awkwardly tap my mana. We can attack in with everything. Dromoka's Command is going to make us have some real nice combat tricks here. And automatically getting in for at least a little bit of damage, unless the opponent wants to quad chump block, which is not advisable. Oh, okay. Maybe this is in fact the quad chump block. All right, so we're gonna put a 1/1 counter on our Reflector Mage. Actually, we can do a separate mode here. Target player sacrifices enchantment. Put a 1/1 counter target. Okay, so you sacrifice an enchantment, and I'll put a 1/1 counter on my Reflector Mage. And we still have Selfless Spirit on backup here, so we're wiping the opponent's board, and we have Selfless Spirit. The only thing that truly punishes me is, no, not even Languish, because I have a 5/6, a 4/5, and the Lumbering Falls on backup, so that seems pretty good to me. I guess an Emrakul here? Is that what's going on? Okay, that's still not that bad. The opponent gets to sacrifice my Selfless Spirit and eat one of my creatures. And then I get an extra turn. That seems fine. Heck, they can't even kill Jace off. I assume they eat the Sylvan Advocate and then sack the Selfless Spirit. Because remember, I get a turn after this one, so let's see, even if the opponent eats the Sylvan Advocate and my Selfless Spirit, I should be in okay shape. That being said, you know what? I am at 13. I guess I can target Emrakul with a Jace plus. But yeah. As bad as this looks, it's not that bad. Right? I mean, this is fine. They're doing this now so that I can't counter one of their other spells later, but now we just get to go wide. Yeah, so they eat the Advocate, they sacrifice the Selfless Spirit afterwards. Oh, wait, really? They're going to go for their Tracker here instead? Okay. I guess that makes sense. Wow, I would have thought the Sylvan Advocate was a bigger threat, but I mean, yes, this is true. They do get an extra creature back from this one. They have no cards in hand, to note. And I can put the opponent to 2. Or rather, no, I can hit him for 6 and put him to 5. I don't know where I got 2 from. All right, there's the Selfless Spirit sacrifice, and then I get an extra turn here. Let's find a good one. Collected Company, Avacyn, Reflector Mage, tons of good draws. Tireless Tracker, not exactly what we were looking for. Okay, so if they block, take 6. No, that's not good enough. And in fact, they don't even have to block with a Tireless Tracker if they don't want to. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, they do have to block with a Tireless Tracker. Okay, so actually, this is interesting. I can activate Lumbering Falls, and they have to block both of my 5 power. No, I guess they don't. They could block something else and save the Tireless Tracker. Or they could, no, because they would definitely block with Emrakul. So they go boom, boom. But then I would die to Emrakul if I don't plus on that. Right? Yeah, if I activate Lumbering Falls attack with all, they can go Emrakul on Sylvan Advocate, Tireless Tracker onto Lumbering Falls, and then Lumbering Falls would die after the Sylvan Advocate died. The opponent would go down to 5. But then they'd have a top deck, and they couldn't kill me with Emrakul alone because I could plus on. Okay, let's go with that line. Really wish I could plus on the Tireless Tracker there. But I cannot do so. So the presumed blocks are Emrakul on Sylvan Advocate, Tireless Tracker on Lumbering Falls. This is the opposite of what I think the opponent needed to do here. Because now I keep the Sylvan Advocate. And if they had blocked the other way, then my well, both creatures would have died. So I think a slight misplay on the opponent's part. They need to find a lot of things, because next turn I can just bash in with all. That might be the game. All right, no Emrakul attack. 1 card in hand. We can actually get a Tireless Tracker clue here, so let's sack that, find a card, potentially. And a Reflector Mage. That should do it. Emrakul bounced, and we get to swing in with everything. And that'll be game 1. Bant Company taking it off of the Black-Green Delirium deck. I think the opponent could have survived 1 more turn, potentially, but drawing that Reflector Mage was good enough. So, if I remember correctly, I'm supposed to bring in Clash of Wills, Ojutai's commands, take out all of the Dramoko's commands, even though they were actually pretty good there. See, I'm sideboarding against the Teamer Emerge deck, but I'm not actually sure if I'm supposed to sideboard like this for the Bant Company versus Black-Green Delirium deck. I don't think we want Tamio, but I think the Ojutai's commands and the Clash of Wills are definitely worth it. We don't need the Gnarlwood Dryads, although they're kind of cool. Tireless Tracker, always good. Nissa, fine. Subjugator Angel, also something that I think I want to bring in here. It's actually pretty sweet against, Ishkana and all of her tokens. I might actually just cut the Jace. and run it like this. Yeah, let's ship it like this for Game 2 of Luis Scott-Vargas' Bant Company versus Black-Green Delirium. All right, Game 2 of this match between Luis Scott-Vargas' Bant Company versus Black-Green Delirium. We're on the draw. We're going to keep this hand. Very land-heavy, but, well, we have two pretty powerful creatures in the form of Duskwatch Recruiter and Reflector Mage. Do not really want to draw another land there. I think we'll just lead off with Lumbering Falls as opposed to Evolving Wilds. We have all 3 mana colors next turn. Don't even have to pay any life for it. Alright, Grimflayer for the opponent. Uh-oh. Well, now we're starting to flood a little bit, aren't we? Kept a 5-lander and have drawn 2 lands in a row. I guess I'm supposed to just take a hit here. Man, that feels really bad. I'm enabling some nice shenanigans from the opponent, but because I've drawn nothing but land, I think we just need to ship it, or rather take the hit. Of course, when Grimflayer hits, they get to look at the top 3 cards of their library, any of them into their graveyard, and the rest in their back on top, rather. Okay, the opponent already has sorcery, creature, and land in the graveyard, but no spells cast. That means we get to transform our Duskwatch Recruiter into Krowlin Horde Howler. Which means I also get to play the Reflector Mage for 2 mana here. And then I can play the Evolving Wilds. Kind of sweet. I think if the opponent had a removal spell, they would have already killed my Krowlin Horde, right? Interesting. So I'm not sure why they didn't kill my Duskwatch Recruiter immediately, as opposed to waiting like that. I'm not going to complain, though. This would be a really good time to draw a Collected Company. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Let's crack this Evolving Wild at end of turn. And, what do we need? We don't need any more green. Guess we're going to get another white source here, because we already have plenty of blue as well. Oof. Pretty bad draws here for us. I guess it was actually correct to get a blue source, so I don't have to pay a life to activate the Lumbering Falls. And I already had plenty of white in my hand. Yeah, that was a misplay on my part. But then again, I'm flooding out quite hard here, so... No plays from the opponent. Interesting. Well, another Duskwatch Recruiter was a pretty great draw. I think we just want to play the Duskwatch and activate it as opposed to using the Lumbering Falls here. Is it Grasp of Darkness? Sure, it's fine. Opponent playing into an Abyssin a little bit there, but it's okay. And if this survives, we get to start digging for cards. Always nice. Duskwatch Recruiter. One of the best uncommons to come out of this block. Okay, the Grimflayer now has Delirium, so it's a 4/4. Let's find some goodies, shall we? Let's find some goodies. Another Recruiter or a Sylvan Advocate. I'm going to go with the Advocate here, although getting a second backup Duskwatch Recruiter would obviously be great. The Advocate can hold off the Grimflayer, and it turns our Lumbering Falls into a kind of an issue for the opponent. So let's play that out as a 4/5, and again, we holding up activation of the Duskwatch Recruiter. Card can single-handedly get us back in the game. I haven't drawn a single Collected Company in either of these games. Kind of silly. Subjugator Angel. Alright, so I'm assuming the opponent has Grasp of Darkness in their hand. And as such, I'm just going to go ahead and take a hit here. Obviously not ideal, but it's either that or Languish. Languish would be a straight up 2 for 2, but Duskwatch Recruiter would still get another activation, and it would tap out the opponent for the turn. But if it's Grasp of Darkness, I assume the opponent should probably use it here on their Duskwatch Recruiter anyway. Okay, they only put the Evolving Wilds in the graveyard, it looks like. They liked a lot of their cards, that's kind of scary. And we are going to see Ishkana. Alright, where's that Clash of Wills? Or Ojutai's Command. But this Subjugator Angel should do good work. Ooh, a Tyler's Tracker. I'm going to go ahead and take that over the Selfless Spirit. That's going to get some real nice value with how many lands we have in our hand. And a Spell Queller. Nice. Alright, this hand's developing out quite nicely. Currently we have a decent amount of damage on the battlefield. Subjugator Angel could potentially end it real quick. Let's see, land, instant, creature, sorcery. So the opponent has 4 types in their graveyard currently. I'm going to go ahead and block the Grim Flayer now with the Sylvan Advocate, since we have the Spell Queller in hand. Oh, this might be Languish then, if the opponent's doing that. Okay, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and try to Spell Quell this, and see if the opponent has another removal spell for Languish. Which they do not. Wow, insane. I think I might just go for it now, right? Subjugator Angel attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's pretty good. No, actually, no. We want to wait still. Let's get our value. I want to be able to hit a counter spell here, so let's crack some clues and still hold up activation. We're not playing that out. Alright. This Duskwatch Recruiter is going to transform since I haven't cast anything. So let's crack one more clue and see if we draw a counter spell before we activate it. Oh. Well. That's a pretty good hit too. Guess we'll just be passing here. The opponent killing Spell Queller and recasting Languish is not an issue anymore. Like, that's completely fine. The board is going to be left with Sylvan Advocate and Ishkana. But then I get to end of turn Collected Company. I am A-okay with this. Alright, traverse the Ulvenwald from the opponent. The thing is, I don't want a Collected Company in response and try to hit another Spell Queller for the Languish. I'd rather wait. Because if you whiff, then you're just killing 2 of your own creatures a lot of the time. Oh boy, just a Reflector Mage. There goes Avacyn and 4 lands though, which is nice. Well, generally you don't see Collected Company whiff all that often, but here we are. And there's a perfect draw. So now we get to activate the Lumbering Falls, and now I'm taking damage that I shouldn't have, because remember, I could have gotten an island with my Evolving Wilds earlier. But we get to knock the opponent down to 11 here. Ishkana can't be recast, and we get to clash anything scary that the opponent could have. Yeah, Bant Company. Definitely still a powerhouse. Definitely still a powerhouse. All of these decks have been really fun to play. I know Bant Company is given the stigma of being the bad guy of the format. Everybody hates it, but you know, it's still pretty fun. I'm gonna let that resolve because it still leaves the opponent dead on board. No reason to clash that. Alright, they get their forest. They transform their Nissa. But we have a good old clash. And now they're not dead on board because they can block with the Hissing Quagmire and whatnot, but well, our hand is still pretty nice. In fact, they have to double block the 4-power creatures. Oh no, they don't. Never mind. I guess I should have just countered Nissa. Man, that was kind of stupid of me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I can activate Lumbering Falls and still cast Archangel Avacyn. Yeah, I misplayed that a little bit. In fact, what I'm probably going to do here is just... Oh, I guess they're going to try to cast a removal spell instead, which isn't going to work. Yeah, let's counter that for 3. And that'll be the match. A few mistakes there I made at the end, and one at the beginning where I didn't get an island. But hey, Collected Company, still a powerful powerhouse of the format. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Pro Tour Gauntlet with me, Kenji Egashira, Numata Nami. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys take a chance to play in the Pro Tour Gauntlets on Magic Online, because if you've never played with some of these decks, they give you a random deck, and you have an opportunity to try them out and pit them against other really good decks from the Pro Tour. Anyways, that's all for now. We'll see you next time.